What's good? What's good? What's happening, everybody out there in the ether? Welcome to the Money Match Gaming Podcast Show Extravaganza. Awesome Thanksgiving special, Veterans Day coming up. Awesome, extravagant day. I am part of your co-host team of the Money Match Gaming Podcast, The Infinite. I am good here with the good old friend, the one and only, the special, check it out my fingers, Dan Estrada. What's good, man? What's going on?
What's up? Not much. Same old, living life, doing that whole thing. Good stuff. Yes, we are here at the Money Match Gaming Podcast Talk Show. All those things Lance said as well. ... All of it. We're here and we're talking about the movie Joker. So let's get right into it. So Joker, released this year, 2019, is directed by Todd Phillips and stars Joaquin Phoenix. And there's like a few other people in the role or in the movie, but it's basically the Joaquin Phoenix movie. Let's be real here. Do you want to give a little description of it?
Sure. So, Joker in Gotham City, mentally troubled comedian Arthur Fleck is disregarded and mistreated by society. He then embarks on a downward spiral of revolution and bloody crime. This path brings him face to face with his alter ego, the Joker. Boom, done.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. I don't agree wholeheartly with that description because I wouldn't really call him a comedian. I mean, he does one like open mic and it gets filmed. Okay. I mean, I guess, but yeah, I wouldn't really call him a comedian. But yeah, he wants to be a comedian, I guess. But yeah. So, thoughts?
Okay. I think what you just said, I'm gonna get into a little bit later. But I'll bring it up now because it's like a really strong thread for me throughout the movie. Number one, it should be said that I think like the Joker itself, at least in this depiction of the Joker, doesn't necessarily mean like ha, but more of like my life's so bad, how could it get any worse kind of laugh. I feel like a lot of the times people kind of have that reaction towards tragedy in their life to where they kind of have this like laughing sob. And I feel like that's kind of what he means when he says that I'm a comedian, you know, AKA like,
well, no, he legitimately wanted to be a comedian. Like that is what it is. I'm just saying that the description of calling him a comedian is not necessarily true. That's like me saying like, I'm a teacher because I went to school to be a teacher, but I'm not hired as a teacher. Nor do I teach anywhere. I'm not actually a teacher.
No, I'm saying that I think that those terminologies, even though they're used in the traditional form, it's more of like a higher, like, hey, this is like an archetype type of thing, you know? Does that make any sense? Kind of like a metaphor for something else is the easier way to say that, actually. I made that way more complicated than it needed to be, but
yeah, so thoughts on the movie?
In general, this movie puts me in a very strange mood. It happens to give me strong reminders of how easily it is to break people, as well as how easy it is to encourage people to be good. It just takes every negative emotion possible to make somebody a terrible human being. And, you know, like a little love goes an actual long way. I left this movie feeling quite awful, actually. And it just forever reminds me of how dysfunctional the world is and how many people who are exactly like Joker exist in the world. You know what I mean? Like that was kind of like the realism that I feel like a lot of the people who talked to me about the movie mentioned. You know, I had my friend Dave, which you know, called me and like, hey, I just feel like I need to check up on my friends more often. Like I just, it feels so real. And this scene, like the movie, like to your point, like when you said before we started, like, hey, I kind of didn't like the movie. Like, for me, it was kind of like, it's a little real, and it feels less like a movie and more like a documentary, in my opinion, because of just how those situations played out, and what was important, and the themes that they explored throughout the movie. Like, it just, that's the feeling it gives me. And I don't know, that's generally how I feel about the movie. I enjoyed it, I liked it, but I'm not gonna lie, like, looking at the reality of it, to me it looks like it's taking the worst of reality and showing you the mirror. Like, this exists, it happens every day, it's next to you, it's around the corner. This is real, and it felt less a depiction of fantasy, and more, this is the tragic life of some people. And so it's just that's generally how I felt, you know, which obviously isn't a good feeling. So, like, thank you for adding so much realism to my life, but at the same time, like, I really did feel shitty after walking out of this movie. Like,
Yeah. I mean, I went in a little depressed. I came out very much so more depressed. I hated this movie. I didn't think it was like, I didn't like it at all. I didn't enjoy it. The only thing I thought was any good was Joaquin Phoenix. I thought that I mean, I think it's a fine movie, and I totally get why people like it, but it made me way too depressed to even consider ever watching it again. Like, I have no, this just left a bad taste in my mouth. Like, I don't want to have anything to do with this.
right, and I can totally respect that. I get it. Especially with all the things I'm about to go into. It's just yeah, it's a bit much, you know. First off, thank you, Scorpion, Scorpion, for Smash. Thank you for that follow, man. Much appreciated. You know, the first part, you know, we might as well go into the pros a little bit. I think it was very visually expressive in the way they kind of wrap in metaphor meaning in the visuals. You know, so, like, every scene that, like, kind of added to his production, or added to his steps to going just absolutely batshit crazy, had some heavy visualization as far as, like, how it looked. So every time something either A, happened, and then he was kind of processing in his head, the light was often, like, really back and forth. So there was, like, a lot of white light with yellow, red light kind of coming in different, like, crevices of the room and stuff. So, for example, after he, and there's spoilers in this, you guys. So if you're watching this and you're like, I haven't seen the movie yet, please pause. We will have it up on YouTube, you know, but we're going to talk about some of the things in the movie. So after he kills the three stock trader dudes that worked for, you know, Wayne Enterprises, he runs into that bathroom, and when he runs into the bathroom, it's this dark, gringy, like, lighting, you know, and then there's, like, this white light from the left, and then there's, like, this red light from the street light coming in, and it's just, like, perfectly to where, like, half his face is getting hit by white, half of it's getting hit by red, and he, like, it's just a very visually, like, intense scene, because, like, and then he starts dancing, and for me, like, I think each one of those things represents some element of different things going on that's, like, kind of has a lot of deeper meaning. So, you know, each light represents, you know, his good half and his bad half, and they're kind of battling, and he's dancing, he's performing this expression, you know, and like, the very essence of Joker has always been this crazy expression of chaos. And, like, I think that sums it up the best way possible, is that is his art, that is him expressing the chaos in him. And I think that's what makes this film so strong and so good, because they just do that. Like, everybody always expresses what's in them. You always express what's in them, you know, and after you learn all these different things about him and his life and what he's been going through up until this point, like, that's all he lives is chaos, and the few things that keep him together fall apart, and then he has nothing to express but chaos. And that's what makes him such a great character to begin with. and why everybody loves Joker to begin with, because it's amazing how I feel like they always get Joker right. I don't think there's ever been a bad iteration of Joker, because it all exists on the same paradigm. His mental instability really does like have a light side. There is a funny side to Joker, and then there's like, obviously the demonic side as well, because I mean, like, even in the chaos there are funny moments, and I mean, like, they're funny in like a very grim way. So for example,
I was like, I don't remember any of this movie being at all funny.
So the part where
there was one part that I thought it was funny. The part that I thought was funny was the whatchamacallit, the comedian that went up before he performed, because I've heard that comedian before and I think he's very funny. Sam Morrill. Okay. He's a very funny guy. But no part in that movie did I laugh other than that.
There was the one part where the dwarf and his old coworker come, and he ends up killing his old coworker, and then the dwarf couldn't get out the door. That was creepy, ironic.
Funny.
Yeah, I chuckled a little bit. Call me evil, I guess, but yeah, a little bit. But like, that's kind of the thing. And there's like heavy themes of heaven and hell in this movie. So, like, to me, the element of him going down those steps every day, like just outside of his house, you know what I'm talking about? It's the one where they make all the memes where he's dancing down the stairs.
I know steps.
Okay. Those steps, to me, like, have metaphorical meaning. Every day he goes up and down these steps. And, like, that whole scenario, they show you so many times because it has, like, so much meaning. So every day he goes up the steps, he goes to a safe place. He goes home. It's and he's always beaten down. He's always beaten down while, he's at the bottom of those steps, and you see him walk. He's like limping all the time. He's bruised all over his body. He's malnutritioned. He suffers from malnutrition. There we go. That's a better way to say it. And, you could see the like pain of his body as he makes it up those steps, and the bottom of the steps, in my opinion, what I think they were going for is the chaos, the hell, the terribleness of Gotham and everything that he's experienced up until this point. And he gets to make his way up to the steps. He gets to walk through the archway. And, this is like super metaphorical in my opinion, to where like the mail is like in a cage. And I'm not sure if that's normal for New York. I'm not sure if that's normal for anywhere. I'm not super familiar, but I thought it was really ironic that, it was in the cage, because that was what his mom, and him for that matter, looked for hope. That was the way that they were going to get a better life. Thomas Wayne was going to give them money to help them live a better life and escape the chaos that they're living in. So every day he's forced to go into this cage, which is this protectionist realm of his hopes and dreams, of his life getting better. And his mom keeps telling him, hey, life's going to get better, because one day we're going to get a piece of the mail. We're going to get a piece of mail and our lives are going to change. And, like, slowly they show less and less of that scene, because I think it's part of like the whole dynamic of he's losing hope. He's losing, his faith in the good of the world. And, that cage is no longer depicted in a lot of scenes. So sometimes he goes straight to the mailbox, and then he starts skipping the mailbox entirely. And I think that's like fairly metaphorical in a lot of senses, So I mean, like, yeah, this movie's just filled with so much visual expression that I was like really taken aback from it, And I just really loved that element of the movie.
Yeah, my only pro is that Joaquin Phoenix is a good actor. Like, literally, he was the only actor in that movie that conveyed any kind of emotion. And, like, there was a lot of actors I like in that movie. I like Brian David Henry. Brian Tyreek David Henry? Brian Tyreek Henry? I don't know. The dude from, he plays Paperboy in Atlanta. He was he was like at the mental asylum. He had like the file on his mom that he ended up stealing or whatever.
Right.
Uh, Brian Tyree Henry, maybe that's it. I don't know. That guy, I like him a lot. He didn't really do much in this movie. Zazie Beetz was fine, but like she was in the movie for all of like 2 seconds. The No one else brought any sort of like anything to this movie. No one, like, I couldn't even tell you a scene that featured like a second person where the second person was even remotely acting as hard as Joaquin Phoenix acted throughout this entire movie.
I think that's intentional, though. I would have more criticism if I didn't think that was intentional. I think everything's supposed to be dry and dreary, just simply because.
Not so much the dry and dreary, it's that everything was just so mediocre other than him. Like, he was the only one who was like, I'm going to take this 100% seriously. And everybody else was like, I'm going to just be whatever.
No,
like,
honestly,
no one else conveyed any sort of emotion for me. No one else affected me in any way. Everybody else was just kind of there.
Yeah, I think that's by design. I would have more opinions about it, but like, by the end of the movie, I think you're supposed to feel that way. It's like a giant dream in a lot of senses. You can't really take everything that happened in the movie like perfectly serious because he has a lot of delusions, and they don't do they purposely don't do a good job of explaining some of those delusions. Like, I really thought that she was going to be Harley Quinn, and then they're like, nah, that was a delusion. Like, no, you're in dreamland. Stop thinking that it's reality in general. This is what a fragmented personality like looks like and interacts with reality. You don't know what's real, and I think like that's part of the beauty is like you're supposed to get that feeling. Everything else is supposed to be trivial. Like even a lot of the other characters don't make sense because they're not supposed to. He's crazy, like, and you're seeing everything through his experience. Because like even some of the elements of the movie of like his fits of anger like don't make a whole lot of sense. And you have to really really pay attention. So he kills the dude with the dwarf. For some really subtle reasons. They don't explain that very well, but there's like a few moments to where he's talking with his boss, and his boss is telling him, hey, so-and-so said they gave you the gun and that they needed money from you. Which means that this guy had no good intentions for Arthur. He just didn't. And he was trying to manipulate this situation in a way that he benefited from it. I'm not sure if I should accept that wholeheartedly or...
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense because the guy gave him the gun at the beginning for protection.
He did.
He didn't ask him for money or anything.
Correct. But the boss started alluding to him being manipulated. And it's like it's intentionally difficult to understand. And I mean, like, there's other moments like that in the movie. Like the biggest one would be like his mom. Like there's like a lot of things that don't make sense with his mom. So for example, when was he beaten and tied to the radiator? Like
when he was a very small child.
So how does he have custody of his mom? And what happened to him?
He doesn't have custody of anything. His mom would have custody of him. And it seems like he was just I don't know, raised in the insane asylum with her or something. It's
Correct.
Not very clear.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you kind of don't really know. How does someone so mentally unstable maintain control over a young child? So it's like, for me, it's like, was he
But
older?
the problem is the whole idea is that she's not actually mentally unstable. It's that nobody is willing to believe her. And that causes her to become unstable.
Is that what you think? So you think
it's that she is? Yeah. Yeah, 100%. That's another problem with the movie. They're trying to make Joker out to be so sympathetic. And it doesn't work out. Like, I think that's fucking stupid. I'm sorry for swearing, but I think it's really dumb. I don't think he should be a sympathetic character, and I don't think he really is a sympathetic character. But they make him out to be one. At the end of the movie, you're supposed to be like, yeah, they got what they deserved. Like Joker was right, you know. But he's a kind of a piece of crap. But he's got mental illness and he's going unchecked because he's not in the right tax bracket to be able to afford the right kind of care. I mean, he did that whole speech about society, which that actually did get a legitimate chuckle out of me just because of the meme, the "We live in a society" meme. Gamers rise up, and I was like, oh man, he's actually giving a "We live in a society" man. But yeah, no, wasn't into it.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I like that she didn't seem right to me.
Yeah, like I said, it's because of the fact that they put you in a mental asylum because you're telling the truth and no one believes you will probably cause you to like legitimately lose your mind. Because everyone already sees you as you've lost your mind and you just can't get your point across that you're telling the truth.
There's some weight to that. I actually like that story.
But yeah, that's basically what it is. She's her and what's his name had some sort of relationship. He paid off people to, or either he paid her off to say that it didn't happen or something, paid off other people to be like, nope, you have to corroborate my story. This never happened. And that drove her insane because it did happen. She actually experienced it. It was her life. And then now all of a sudden it's not.
I like that. I did not take that insight into the movie. Like
I mean,
I
you could tell it actually happened when he looked at the picture of it, and on the back of it, it was like signed by Thomas Wayne. He said, it didn't say Thomas Wayne; it said TW. But on the back of it, it was like, "Oh, you look as beautiful as ever," or something like that. Some kind of like hitting on her phrase.
I like that he was a dick. I also like that. I was like, all this talk about this giant quadrillionaire being a nice guy, I kind of don't buy it. And like I really enjoyed this depiction of Thomas Wayne. I'm not gonna lie, this is my favorite depiction of him so far. Is just a rude ass businessman.
Well, most of the time his depiction is guy who dies at the very beginning.
Right. But I mean, they also kind of do callbacks to where they go. He was very kind. He did all these nice things. He opened up all these charities and did all these
and he still did all those things. That's what's like, that's the PR where behind the scenes you can do whatever you want. And then that's like real life, millionaires, billionaires, celebrities in our world is some of them you'll be like, man, this person seems like an absolute great person, but really they're an absolute monster. You just can't tell because they do
that's the smoke
positive things. Yeah, exactly. Positive things with their money to distract you from all the terrible crap that they're doing behind the scenes.
And I don't know, man, because like, well, this is kind of drifting off to somewhere else. Spoilers, bro. Yeah. There's definitely spoilers, man. Like, you got to watch the movie first before you kind of listen to the conversation, because it's just one of those things, man.
He said, just kidding. He was just fooling around.
So, I don't know, man. I really think I'm okay with empathizing in Joker in this movie, though. Because, like, the thing I liked most about this scenario is like the whole movie Joker is actually trying. He's actually trying to be a good person. And the scene where he's sitting with the social worker and he's like, I don't think you ever listened to me. You've never listened to a word I've ever said. And it's like, do you even care? And her initial response was, no, I don't care. And quite frankly, no one cares. They don't care about you, and they sure as hell don't care about me. Today is our last day. And he goes, well, how do I keep all these negative thoughts and feelings in check if I don't have my medication and I don't talk to you? Because even though I don't like you and I know you're not listening to me, it helps, just to just to put it into the ether to someone who's forced to listen to me. And she's like, well, the doors are shutting, bruh. And I was like, you know, and I mean, like, there's like so many elements of him being normal and him trying to make it work, but it's just like knockdown after knockdown. Like, everyone breaks sometime, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, I just don't like the idea of him as a sympathetic character. I think there's a lot of villains that you should be able to sympathize with. I never took Joker as one that you should be. I always took Joker as, you know, a deranged, like almost two sides of the coin. Like, I mean, I didn't want to say that because of Two-Face, that's a completely different guy, but he is both. Like, he just does things. He just acts. There's no real good in him. He likes the chaos. But whatever. That's my personal opinion. I have nothing else to say. So, like, the only other thing I have is that it feels that the entire movie, other than Joaquin Phoenix, just feels empty to me.
Right. I don't know. I like when they humanize villains, man.
I do too, for the most part. I just didn't like this one.
Okay. All right. Just checking in, because like I really like when they're human, because
yeah, if it makes sense, I don't mind. I just didn't feel like this one made too much sense. I don't know. This was not. I didn't like. I said going into this movie, I just want to point out I did not want to see this movie, and I came out being upset that I saw this movie.
Okay.
That's basically how I felt about it.
Right. So the only con I had for this movie was, like, I really hate how nuanced his childhood was. Like, I feel like it would have added more to the story I feel like they were trying to tell, you know, in the sense that, you know, hey, mental illness is a problem, and, you know, we should definitely do something about it, and taking the little bit of help and protection these people might have does no service to, number one, our society, and number two, to those people, you know. And I put that in that order on purpose, you know, like it unravels when people have nothing. It unravels when people are starving. Like, that's just kind of how the social order works. And anytime we get in this situation to we're wasting people, like, and the way that, you know, this movie depicts it, like, which happens, it's real. Like, this doesn't really seem too far off the beaten path, you know. Like it's not a surprise that he ends up being like a cultural icon, you know, per se, and that so many people have like talked about this movie and how it's made so many people feel like it rippled, you know, and people really don't know how to take that on, because, you know, we're struggling with mental health and what it means to be healthy, what it means to have a healthy state of mind, what's success, all the different things that drive people crazy. Like, I feel like we're wrestling with in a heavy manner, and I'm happy that these kinds of movies are starting to come out and it's coming to light to some degree, because, you know, this is the pathway to a better world, in my opinion.
I honestly don't think this movie is going to change anything as far as mental health and anything goes. I think, honestly, if any, and I hated this because I read this in so many articles before I saw the movie, and I was like, that's a ridiculous thing to say. But I do think that this movie could potentially do more harm than good in the mental health sector. Because at the end, he's a hero to that group of people. Why would anyone not want to be a hero, you know? So why not just take it out on whoever's bothering you? Why not buy a gun and shoot a few people? You could be the hero.
I mean, a lot of good advice gets taken that way, though. You know, like a truth is a truth, and sometimes people can manipulate truths in that manner. You know, that doesn't take away what I feel like it represents. You know, that's
what I'm saying. I don't feel like this is a positive look on mental health and how to fix that. I mean, it is saying that society is a lot of the problem with mental health, and I think to an extent that might be true, but I don't think that this movie is going to make people look at mental health or treat people with mental health any differently, which is shitty. It's bad. I don't think we should treat people with mental health or pretty much anybody differently than, you know, like they say, the golden rule: treat others as you would like to be treated. But I don't think this is going to change. This movie specifically is going to do anything to change that.
Well, we'll have to agree to disagree there, like a little bit, but that's fine. That's a part of having your own opinion, and for the most part, I kind of mentioned my closing. I'll go ahead and give it my rating. I'd give this movie a 9. Again, like I agree with you that it does rise a lot of like kind of feelings, but I really did enjoy the production of the movie. I really did enjoy the deep meaning in a lot of the scenes and how layered the movie was in general, and what they talked about and what they expressed, because it definitely did not feel like a superhero DC comic type of movie. It was really dark, it was really grim, and like it can be taken with that light, so I definitely agree with a lot of the things you said, but to me it's work of art, man. It's work of art, and there's a lot to be taken from.
My score is the 100% opposite end of the spectrum. I gave it a 1 out of 5. Go see this movie if you want. Definitely don't see this movie if you're already feeling like depressed, because it's not going to help you. It's going to make you feel way worse, and it's going to give you terrible thoughts. So do whatever you feel happy doing, but this movie ain't going to make you happy. 1 out of 5.
So that does it for us, you guys. We'll go ahead and give you guys our next topic as soon as possible. Until then, peace, love, happiness. I'll see you guys later. And goodbye.
Later.